Well, this book came to me, the idea came a few years ago. Between 2008 and 2011, I was chairman of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Korea. 주한 캐나다 상공회의소 회장. And while I was chairman, every year, several foreign chambers of commerce, including the Canadian Chamber, the British Chamber, the French Chamber, many, many chambers, including 대한상공회의소, we were organizing an annual event called the Global Career Forum. And every year we organized this event and we invited university students to come. And every year we had about 700 students come to the event, a huge number. I was really shocked to see how many people are interested in global career. And then as we were doing the event, we were doing presentation and then questions, a lot of questions came from the audience. But the level of the question was so basic. I realized that a lot of people wanted information about global career, but also they need a lot of information. Their knowledge and their, the things they were looking for was really basic. And it gave me the idea. I thought, gee, I gotta do something to help these people. They're interested in global career, but they really need some help. So I had already written one book. I already did that, so I knew how to write a book, and I was enjoying writing books. I said, why not? Why not write a book that would be for young people? So I sat down and met a lot of students, probably interviewed like 20 students, but also my life experience, and I was starting to give some lectures to students, and also the Global Career Forum. Some young students kept in touch with me, sent email, and I met with them, and I tried to understand their mind, and the process of how do they decide their career, what's important to them, and what was doing, how they were approaching the job search, and how could I help them. So that's how I came to write this book, and the process also, getting a lot of feedback from future readers. So the book came out in March 2014. So it's been in the market for several months now. And now I've been giving a lot of lectures to university students. This morning, actually, I was speaking at the Money Today 취업 Academy. 160 students were in the room, and I gave away a few copies of the book, and they were happy. And so it gives me a lot of happiness when I'm able to give them hope, give them confidence also. Young people need hope, but also they need confidence on how to get the job. That's it.
Okay. So I have one more question related to this book, and could you introduce some contents or example from this book?
Yeah. Well, the book is divided into two sections. And it's about 50-50% in terms of number of pages. The first half is really for 1학년, 2학년, 3학년 students who are still struggling about finding their life direction, 삶의 방향, or defining their career goal, 경영 목표. So, for example, I did a lecture recently on at Sebashi, and the title of the lecture was based on 자기 문답, self Q&A. So the chapter 2 of the book relates to that. So it's really about finding yourself, your life direction, your career goals, developing the skills before you start looking for a job. That's the first part. Second part of the book is really about job search, resume, cover letters, also interviews. And what I tried to do in this book was I took a different approach from other career books. A lot of career books will give you like some format or some template. For example, for resume, you should do like this, you should do like this. Or for example, if you go to an interview, please memorize these sentences, memorize these answers. I did not want my book to be like that. I wanted my book to be different. One of the things I wanted to do, because I'm a foreigner, I'm not a Korean, I wanted to kind of emphasize the difference between the process of looking for a job, applying for a job, doing a resume, doing cover letters, doing interviews, the difference between Korean companies and foreign companies. So a lot of the content of the book is based on that. So I'll give you two examples. And it's related to, I would say, one of them is job search. In most Korean tech, right, the process of hiring is done once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, and they hire 50, 100. They hire a large number of students, of applicants, then they train them for 1 month, and then they send them to different departments. So the hiring is centralized in the group, and then they dispatch people after training to different departments. But in foreign companies, it's very different. For example, they will hire, for the marketing department of a company, will hire somebody. So the person is hired already for a specific job or a specific function in the company. So therefore, it's quite different. So when that allows you, if you're, for example, a young candidate and you want to work for this company in the marketing department, it allows you to go directly, not wait for the moji kongo. Don't wait for the job posting. You can go directly, meaning you should be more proactive. 주도적인 활동, 취업 활동. Okay, so be more proactive in your job search. That's one difference that I stress a lot in the book. Be proactive. Don't wait for the job to come to you. Go to the job. One difference. But also, the other big difference that comes out in the book, it's really about job interviews. It's quite common in Korean large companies, when you interview for a company, that you have 2 or 3 candidates being interviewed at the same time. Not every company does that, but it's quite common. Well, that's in Korea. In foreign companies, you will probably never see that. Another thing is also the interview is quite long. Half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, one-on-one. Much longer. Because also, they're hiring for a specific position. Let's say large company wants somebody in the marketing department. So they need to really dig deeper into your knowledge of marketing. It's not just a character interview. It's also about your skills, your ability. So they dig deeper one-on-one. That's one difference. Another big difference is, in general, it's not considered very polite. It's actually considered quite rude for the candidate to ask questions to the interviewer during the interview, right? In Korea, that's considered kind of rude. But guess what? If you're interviewing for a Western company, you should ask questions. If you don't ask questions, interviewer will not be convinced that you really want the job. They'll say, how can you show me, how can you prove to me that you really want to work here if you don't have any question? Especially, for example, if you're being interviewed for a job as a marketing analyst or engineer, these jobs that require a very curious mind, these jobs that require you to be asking a lot of questions. You're applying for a job that requires you to be curious, and during the job interview you don't have any questions. So the interviewer will probably eliminate you if you don't ask him or her really smart questions. So completely opposite from Korean job interviews. So in the book, I highlight a lot of differences like that. So the book is meant to make young readers understand that there's a different way to look for a job. There's a different way to write a resume. There's a different way to do job interviews. The foreign way is not better. It's different. It's different from the Korean system. Now, each person looking for a job, they have to they read this and they say, well, you know what? I prefer the Western system, or I prefer the Korean system. It's not important. As long as you know the difference and you choose in which kind of work environment you think you'll be happier. And that's it. But the book helps you understand the difference, and you go for whatever makes you more comfortable.